What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. I got to give a shout out to Bobby Sauce. I finally got the chance to be able to watch Bamboozled, Andy Frisella's podcast, Real AF. If you guys want to share that video to any of your friends and have any of them have a question or a reason on why you feel a certain way, holy shit. That is the one to share with your damn friends. I'm going to tell you that right now because it's got sense, common sense, logic. It calls out all the bullshit that's gone on in the last 10 fucking years. Pardon my French, but this is, and it motivated me to start talking like this. And you know what? It's been a long couple months and putting stuff together, but we have to start speaking up. We have to start showing that we are not as, and again, this is be the change. This is the way that I believe that change happens. Change happens by actually being real with each other and not fake woke, not part of a fake culture that continues to perpetuate racist stereotypes. We've now got a president in office that, as you can see with Primetime Patriots yesterday, we've got a migrant crisis at the border. We've got kids back in cages, and the whole half of the country that was saying how horrible it was is now just going like, thank God Trump is gone. Guess what? Change has happened, and right now it's not for the better. We've got gas prices skyrocketing within a very short period of time. I'm a believer that gas prices do need to go up. There's a reason economically behind it, but not when you're talking 25 to 30% in 2 months or a month. It's absurd. Pay attention to what's going on in the world around you. You have to watch this podcast with Andy Frisella. It's called Real AF, and you got Bobby Sauce on there. Just all of them. And it's not just Bobby being amazing. The whole show talks about it. Talk about voting issues. And to think that there isn't issues with our voting because for decades we've talked about voter suppression and the need for IDs when we actually use identification to do everything else in our world. How about make it easier in inner city communities to make sure they have access instead of saying they're not smart enough in order to get their own IDs? Like it's such blatant racism on the opposite side of the coin, and nobody on their side calls it out. They're just complicit, and they talk about dog whistles, and they talk about all this bullshit that is literally like spinning words to go, but if you listen to it the right way, instead of our current president telling black and brown people they're not smart enough to vote, it's like, holy shit. At one point, when are people, and this is the key to the show, why it's called Bamboozled, when are people actually going to take a step back and admit their failures to understand what's going on? That's the hard part. That's the human side. And it sucks to finally step back and go, God, I might not be right. And that's what I'm encouraging people to do, is start realizing you might not fucking be right. That's the big deal. That's the big thing. The vote was not perfect. Plain and simple. Do I know if Trump won? I don't know. We don't know that. But to think that all of these different things have been put in place, you wonder why the Maxine Waters of the world, the Kamala Harrises of the world continued to get voted in even though they were hated in their own community. There's clearly been a system broken for far too long. So make sure you guys take some time to watch Bamboozled. I can already tell just because I put an external link on here that it's not getting as many views as usual. That's fine. Share this out there. From now on, we are continuing, and I keep changing these things. I'm not changing it. We're continuing to have the difficult conversations. Truth will set you free tonight. We're going to be talking about how we need to get younger in politics. We're talking more about the Texas grid. We're going to be talking about Trump's speech at CPAC. We're going to be talking about how we move this country forward. But the biggest thing is you have to speak up. We have to stop being the silent majority. That was such a brilliant point. That silent word is what killed us, because if enough people speak up and say sense, and that doesn't mean hate speech. It's very different. It's not like we're going like, speak up and talk about being racist. No, we're going to be creating more racist by the ignorance that goes on in this country. When our national health director 3 years ago talked about giving beta blockers to children so that puberty blockers to make sure that they had more time to decide what gender they are, and then we preach about science. The world is so friggin' backwards that if we don't start having these conversations and stop placating the very small few and instead just loving them, you're not being a bigot if you love somebody that's different than you. But when you start making all of these special requirements, you're now going to take people and create bigots. That's how cause and effect works. And masks are a whole different story. In all reality, if you want me to be blatant about masks, I think it's absolute ignorance to think that is the end all be all. And now they're talking about 2 masks. I know I'm having conversations with people where they lost loved ones, not from COVID, from pneumonia, from being the jobs where they're wearing masks daily after day. Here's the deal. If you've got a pre-existing condition, if you are overweight by a drastic amount, if you have, then there should be special requirements for you to be able to stay home, or you know what, you wear the face shields. The face shields allowed you to breathe a little bit better and still get back out there. We're not going to judge you for those. You probably have a special condition. Great. The rest of you guys that are deathly afraid, guess what? It's not good for you. It's not. It's period not good for you. And it's also, it's creating people getting sicker now because they have no immune system built up anymore. Guess what? I wore a mask only when I was absolutely required to. I'm still incredibly healthy. That's going to help me fight this. If something happens, it keeps my immune system up. If I get it, guess what? I hope to God that my immune system survives. It's also really effing weird to me that there's been no flu this year. Super weird. There's 2 things that don't go along with each other. And then if we're saying, yeah, but you do it to think of the people that are weaker than you. Guess who's also weaker than us? People that are depressed, people that are getting sick, people that are staying at home and not being able to function normally. That's not selfishness. That's called being an American for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 fucking years. That's what it's about. There is a certain mental process that we crave human contact. We crave being out and doing things. That's not being selfish. That's called being human. That's called being American. That's what we've done. So how about we start thinking about those people as well? How about we start considering all the suicides that are happening, all the massive depression, which also has cut very close to home for me. There's people around me that have been this way. There's friends that I've seen pass away mysteriously in the night, and we don't exactly know why. It's absolute ignorance. You have to wake up. We have to start realizing, as that show said, and again, I tell you, you got to watch the show, bamboozled. We have been bamboozled. Plain and simple. We have been mentally controlled. We are now believing things like asking for an ID is considered racist. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. When you hear it and you think about it explained the right way, we do everything else in our society with an ID. Why would you not have to show an ID? Well, you now have, for example, what the Biden administration is asking to do is to make sure that 11 million, maybe 9 million, I don't know, he doesn't know the numbers. He doesn't know exacts either way. He's asking them to make sure that they are citizens until they're real citizens, which means they have the power to vote. Who does that help? So how is that not cheating the vote? That's not voter suppression. That's voter over unsuppression. I don't even know how to explain that. So now you've got 11 million potential voters that are clearly going to vote on the side that just let them in the building. Let them in the building for the potential for a greater life in 10 years. Like, do you guys not see what's going on? Like, hey, let's go ahead and make sure that DC also has the right to have more delegates. So that every time it's going to be harder and harder for there to be a conservative viewpoint. Now, when I say conservative viewpoint, I don't mean Republicans have it right either. I mean, sometimes there has to be a balance in this country. So we went from saying 2 parties isn't enough, we probably should have a third party, to now the danger of having one party. The danger of one party. Do you have any idea how dangerous this is all becoming? Do you have any idea that we are entering a country, and I'm not going to say we're entering socialism, we're entering communism or whatever. We are entering a controlled society. I don't even know what it is. We are the land of the free, and we are no longer the land of the free if we continue to let this happen. So as we always do on Truth Will Set You Free, and we've got Robert coming on tonight, we always invite other people, and nobody steps up and has a conversation because I want somebody that can argue why there should be whiteness training at non-whiteness training at Coca-Cola. I want somebody that can argue, and I know that they reverse this, but argue why Mr. Potato Head is offensive. I want somebody that can argue why the head of our one of the major departments in our country is not just a transsexual, which is fine, but somebody that spoke less than 5 years ago about suppression of science, suppression of gender. And I'm full belief that there is such thing as gender dysphoria, and some people are trapped in the wrong person's body, but the fraction of this is very minimal, yet we are trying to alter every kid and give them medication and drugs. I want somebody that can argue the other side in a way that we can have a conversation so we can grow the fuck up. Hi, Blake. What's going on? How can we as a country actually have a conversation when nobody is willing to have it? You've got the daily shows of the world that will continuously just throw out hateful ass rhetoric, make jokes about the previous president, not about his imperfections, but about literally stuff of just implications that make the American public dumber by literally just allowing them to have speaking points like, yeah, but he's a racist. Your current guy that you just campaign the living shit for doesn't do dog whistles. He doesn't believe in them. He believes in actually being racist when he actually knows what the hell he's talking about. Guys, it's just absolute insanity what's going on. And when you listen to it in a way that it makes you angry on some things like Bamboozled, you start listening to it and you start getting frustrated and you start going, how can I be the change? Be the change by speaking up. Be the change by having these conversations. If you want to be on the other side of the coin, that's not a bad thing. Speak up. Let's have a damn conversation. Let's have, Kelly, you got to listen to this podcast. It's good. It's really, really good. But legit, it's absolutely, when you hear things make sense and you're able to articulate it, that's the key. You equip yourself with tools to have these conversations. And if you are on the other side, come on over. Let's have a chat. Because if you look at all left-wing media, which I do, not because I enjoy watching it, but because I want to see what is being fed to the American public. I want to see this. You see it, you don't see anybody with opposing viewpoints. You can hate Fox as much as you damn well please. As we've talked about, they're the only mainstream media that covered the Hunter Biden thing, which in retrospect, when you bring that back up, is even more mind-boggling that they admitted that they didn't want the story to go any further. The FBI said they didn't want to start an investigation because it would affect the election. You're damn right it should affect the election. You've got a president's son that's trading secrets to China for money and doing illicit drugs and heroin and potentially allegedly sleeping with underage people. This should be an issue. You have an issue with Don Jr. doing trophy hunting 20 years ago. How is this not an issue? Wake the fuck up. Be the change you want to see in the world by actually listening to other people. I just can't. So yeah, I got fired up. And you know what? I said this the other day during a presentation when I was talking about Be the Change. And I said, sometimes if you want to end division, you have to be divisive. You have to talk about hard topics. I'm talking about hard topics, and I'm just wondering if anybody wants to have a real conversation on the other side. And I congratulate the group that stuck with us. I'm not in the mood to watch my mouth, Blake. All right. Today is I'm going to swear a little bit Tuesday. I'm going to get a little messy today. Blake must have got sleep. But fact is, it's time to actually have the hard conversations, have it blunt. If you want to be the change, don't judge others for being the change. And if you want to be a bleeding heart on one side, understand what you're doing. Understand what you are actually promoting. Understand who you are actually believing in. Watch yesterday's clip, by the way, of the migrant crisis at the border on Primetime Patriots. We have it on the Be the Change station as long as they leave it the hell up. There is literally thousands of people at one part of the border. There's thousands of people that are now trapped there in tents that are provided by, supposedly charities. Starts with S and possibly ends with Oros, in my opinion. Just in my opinion. Potential, allegedly. So you're literally looking at what's going on at the border, and all these people are wearing Biden let us in shirts because they were under the impression that now that Trump is out of office, Biden's going to let everybody in. Because during his speeches, he was saying that he would allow certain 100 days here and there. He would allow children to come in. What is happening is so dangerous. And what is happening in other countries, in Syria right now, that is being celebrated by other people in our country, not realizing how dangerous. The same people that said, I can't believe Trump killed that one guy, Soleimani. I can't believe he killed him. Like, are you not able to understand that you literally blew up over that and are completely okay with this one and not understanding, A, there's similarities and actually they're more dangerous differences? Learn what's going on. I actually just had somebody reach out to me. Guess what? We're now a month and a half after the Capitol situation, and the FBI is just now showing up people's doors. An hour ago, This is still going on. And you know what? People are showing all these different clips like, this has never happened before. This never happened. And then all of a sudden somebody shows a photo and goes, do you think this was at the Capitol? No, that was at the Capitol building in Madison, Wisconsin, when there was a Black Lives Matter, or actually it was before Black Lives Matter. It was a liberal stand-in. It was an Occupy movement. It was all these different things. It's been done in the past. Nobody got turned into the FBI. Nobody had friends turn on other friends. Nobody had a website like Occupy, or a social media group like Occupy Democrats, that had literally a post yesterday saying, if you still like Trump as your president, you're part of the problem in this country. So 8 million people are hitting the like button going, yeah, F them. What part of unity do you not understand? That's all I got to say today. I'm a little bit fucking fired up, but if you want more, we're going to be doing Truth Will Set You Free tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We've got the crew on, I believe is Osuni, Blake, maybe Kaylee. We've got Robert coming on to have a discussion. Lot to talk about. And yes, I know that Trump at CPAC had a gold statue that was made in Mexico. It was a fake gold statue. It cost like $400. Guess what? I don't care. Who gives a shit? Like, who cares? There was some... Who cares? Like, that's the news. That's the brainwashing that's going on. I'm going to go ahead and start having more moments like this, because we have to wake up. And hopefully, and it's not just for the purpose of getting the message out there. I hope these go viral, because I hope people actually see it. I hope it gets them fired up, because let's have a damn conversation. Oh my God. Kelly, no. Nope. I did not. That is incorrect truth. Anyways, I love you guys. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Today's little pep talk, as I'm spitting as a talk because I'm angry and I'm frustrated, I love it at a gym where people aren't wearing masks in the country, because people actually understand that we have freedom in this country to make decisions. If you're completely out of shape and you've been killing yourself drinking Coca-Cola for the last however many years, and you're overweight, start taking care of yourself. I'm not shaming you for it. Last point, because this was another great one on Bamboozled, is they talked about why people hate Trump. He's the asshole. It's a bedside manner thing. He's the doctor that tells you all the things wrong with you and tells you we need to find a way to fix it and get better. And one side gets offended by it. Guess what? The side that gets offended doesn't do shit. They don't do shit about it. The side that takes offense, I'm gonna give a quick story. When I was 21 years old, I was about 40 pounds, 30 pounds overweight, 40, I was out of shape. And there was a girl that knew me. She looked at me and she's like, you're still cute, but definitely you put on some weight. And you know what? I said to myself, I have two options. One, I could be like, oh, poor me. I'm going to eat some more. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to just me. No. You know what I did was I literally the next day went on a diet. And then within 4 months, I ran my first marathon. Why? Because I wanted to better myself and realized that when I looked in the mirror, that wasn't the person I wanted to be. So maybe the reason why people had Trump with bedside manner is they don't want to look in the mirror. We all can be judged by the content of our character. We all can be judged by what's inside of us. We all can be judged by how we react and perform. Every race has an opportunity in this country. It is harder for some than others. Why? Because we don't live in a fucking utopia. The world isn't perfect. And once you realize that the world isn't perfect, you can start being the change to yourself and the world around you. That's all I got to say. Let's get going.